Hello everyone, my name is Don, the movie reviewer, and today we are going to be talking about Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One. Now, from what I understand, Ready Player One is based off of a book of the same name, and I did not read the book, and I probably never will. And the only reason I say I probably never will is because I only read books that interest me, like The Morning Star Strain or Thunder and Ashes. Those books are fantastic. Get around to the third one of that trilogy. But anyways, yeah, I'm just not interested in reading Ready Player One. It just doesn't pique my interest or anything. And that's kind of how I felt about going into this movie. Like, I didn't care. I wasn't excited at all. Like, I remember going to the theater and purchasing my ticket, and then the ticket guy asked me, "Oh, so are you looking forward to this?" And I responded with, "Not really. I'm not excited about this movie. I'm not a huge Steven Spielberg fan." Yes, I admit. I don't dislike Steven Spielberg's movies. I'm just not a super huge fan of his, but if you ask pretty much any like religious movie-going person who like goes to the movies all the time and is just like crazy, kind of like me, it's just that you could say that Steven Spielberg is in the conversation. He would be in the conversation of like top 10 of the top 10 greatest film directors in Hollywood. And for me, he's just, I don't really care about any of his movies. I mean, yeah, I saw Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park, it's a good movie. I saw it when I was a kid. Watched it recently. It's good. Still holds up. I like Minority Report with Tom Cruise. It's a fun, exciting movie. What else has he done? You know, he did Jaws, and Jaws was a great movie. Could have like shaved off 5 minutes, but Jaws was a really great movie. He also did, what's that movie? He also did the Indiana Jones movies, and I haven't seen all of the Indiana Jones movies. The only Indiana Jones movie I saw was the first one, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. It didn't make me want to watch the sequels because I saw the first one, and I will say that the opening scene to the first Indiana Jones movie is fantastic. But after that, I just didn't care, and then the ending is really bizarre and weird. I'm just not a fan of the Indiana Jones movies. And so I'm just not a big fan of Steven Spielberg in general. I didn't see The Post. I probably never will. Maybe one day I'll get around to it. So yeah, I wasn't super excited about Ready Player One going into it. But when I told the ticket guy after I told him, like, yeah, I'm not super excited about this, I said, well, you know, I don't have any expectations going in. Hopefully, when I watch the movie and experience it, it will be fun. Hopefully, I have a fun time watching this movie. And I will admit, I did have a fun time watching Ready Player One. So, let's get into this review. Let's do it.
A whole virtual universe. People come to the Oasis for all the things they can do. But they stay because of all the things they can be.
Can you feel this?
Yeah. It's the only place that feels like I mean anything.
The Oasis, the world's most important economic resource.
It's nothing less than a war for control of the future.
Welcome to the rebellion, Wade.
Help us save the Oasis.
The Oasis is a virtual reality where anybody can be anything they want to be. Percival, who is a player in this virtual reality, comes across a girl named Samantha. And Percival and Samantha team up to take down the corporate monster who wants to control the Oasis and the world. The movie starts off with narration. I don't like narration. I don't like things being explained to me. I'd rather the movie explain things to me with a visual aesthetic. And with this, it's so much narration that it irritated me at first. But as the kid was explaining everything about the Oasis and the person who created the Oasis and his little thing with this girl and all that stuff, I accepted it because I felt that there is a lot of information that I needed to learn about what was going on. So after a while, I thought the narration was useful and it was effective in explaining everything to me. So I accepted the narration after a while. And I will say that the opening scene to this movie, the opening action sequence, is fantastic. It puts you on the edge of your seat. Steven Spielberg directed the opening action scene to perfection. It's crystal clear. You can see everything that's going on. It's a huge spectacle. It's a huge spectacle. And my heart was pounding. I was excited. My blood was flowing. Adrenaline rush. It was great. It was a great opening action scene. Like, if I had to just rate this movie on the opening action sequence alone, I would give this movie a solid A+. For that opening action scene alone, but I can't do that. Even though I did love that opening action scene, it's fantastic. And then you move along, and then Percival, the main character in this movie, meets a girl named Samantha, and he likes her. He's into her, you know. And then Percival and Samantha go along on their little journey, and there are supposed to be these objects that all of the Oasis players, everyone who's in the virtual reality, are supposed to capture these 3 things. And then they come across this corporate head monster guy who is played by Ben Mendelsohn, and Mendelsohn, whatever his name is, Ben Mendelsohn is constantly getting typecast as villain roles. I mean, he does a good job with it, but in this, he's just playing the villain. He's playing the corporate head guy, and it's pretty predictable. It's pretty predictable. You know where the story's going, everything. You know, you got your kids in poverty, and he goes to virtual reality playing field to escape, meets a girl. Boy wants girl, you know, he likes her, but she doesn't like him. And then they have the bad guy in here who they have to stop because he wants to control everything. And it just goes the way you think it's going to go. There's nothing to it. It's your typical average blockbuster that has some exciting action sequences in it, and I would say that's all it really has going for it. Ty Sheridan plays Percival, also known as Wade in the real world, and Ty Sheridan, I first saw him in the Nicolas Cage movie Mud. And I think he got more recent exposure with X-Men Apocalypse, and he plays Scott Summers' Cyclops. He was good in that movie, but X-Men Apocalypse was not very good. But Ty Sheridan, anyone could have played the Percival character. Really, I didn't get any super depth emotion with this character. He was just there, like, here's this guy, we follow him, and some things happen, and he moves along, and all these mysteries and clues, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine, whatever. Anyone could have played this character. Ty Sheridan did a good job with what he had to work with. Olivia Cookie, probably butchering her name, but Olivia plays Samantha, and same thing as Ty Sheridan. Anyone could have played this character, could have been anybody. The character's nothing special. There is one little thing that this character has in the movie that affects her emotionally, and they just kind of skim over this, slide over it, because she's freaking out about, well, you don't want to see me, and then we see her, and she thinks it's a super big deal. I mean, there are a lot of people who have insecurities about their bodies and stuff, but I think the movie kind of built it up a little too much to where it's like I for one was anticipating one thing, and the movie gave me something else. It wasn't a big deal. But I don't know, that's not really important, but I don't know. Anyone could have played this character, but she did a good job as well. So, Ben Mendelsohn. Probably butchering his name too, I'm sorry. But Ben Mendelsohn, he's just getting typecast in these movies. Like, this is the 3rd time, I think, I've seen him play a villain in a movie. He was more notably in The Dark Knight Rises, which is an okay movie. It's not as good as Dark Knight. Dark Knight, top 10 favorite movie of all time. Dark Knight Rises, it's okay. Could have been better. But Ben Mendelsohn was great in that movie. He plays a corporate head guy who's bad. He wants to take over. And then we also saw this guy in Rogue One, which is a good movie. I love it more than I love the main series of Star Wars movies. I don't care about The Force Awakens, and I do not care about The Last Jedi, but I love Rogue One. It's a great movie. And Ben Mendelsohn's great in that. He's a space villain corporate guy in that one too, and then he's back at it again, but this time he is in the Oasis in virtual reality being a bad guy, and he's just constantly getting typecast, but he is great in this role. He delivers a really good performance, and I liked him in this movie. We have Mark Rylance in this movie. He plays Holiday, the creator of the Oasis. I did not know that that was Mark Rylance when I first saw him. He played this character perfectly. He plays one of those guys who's super smart and he's just really reserved and kind of antisocial. He's constantly in his video games and he has a really solid heart. He's a good person and he just wants the best for everyone. And I like Mark Rylance in this movie. I think he is the best actor in this entire thing. I would say that for a person who is just looking for a fun time with some nostalgia, there's a lot of nostalgic things that happens in this movie. Like you see the Iron Giant, I saw Spawn in this movie, I saw Goro, I saw many different characters from video games, and there's references to lots of movies and music that I would say a person who is into all of that stuff, like just nostalgia for movies and music and video games, they would drool out of their mouth the same way Homer Simpson drools for donuts. That's how I think a person who is super nostalgic over this kind of stuff would feel about this movie. And that's great, because I felt a couple of those things too. Like there's a sequence in this movie that I don't want to spoil, but it's I wouldn't say it's a reference, but it's an entire sequence that's dedicated to a certain Jack Nicholson movie. And I don't really like this movie. I don't know, maybe I have no soul. I'm just not liking movies lately, but I didn't really like this movie starring Jack Nicholson. And I do think though the opening credits to this movie starring Jack Nicholson is fantastic. The best stuff in the movie. But this sequence in Ready Player One is just dedicated to this movie. And that's when the movie Ready Player One just elevated my excitement. I was super excited because the whole sequence was fantastic. So I think people who love this particular movie starring Jack Nicholson will love that sequence like I did. Even though I don't like that movie, I did love the sequence. I don't know, I would say if people who are just looking for a nostalgia trip and a fun generic blockbuster, then look no further. You have it right here. But if you're looking for something that's compelling and riveting and thought-provoking with the action and fun, then this isn't for you. Overall, I will give Ready Player One on the side of spectacle and excitement and fun and nostalgia, and it's your generic blockbuster, but it works. And so for that reason, I'll give it an A-. It's formulaic, but it works and it's effective to a point, even though I think they should have given more depth to the characters, especially the main character, instead of just doing the basic thing. So on the side of, okay, this movie's not compelling, it's not a compelling story to me, I don't think. And it's not riveting, the story doesn't really put me on the edge of my seat. It's mostly the action scenes and the obstacles the characters have to go through that excite me. The story itself is kind of bland. And so on that note, I would give the movie a B-. So I would say this movie is good, but it's also okay. Because if you're looking for something with just pure spectacle, blockbuster, generic, and it works and it's fun, look no further than Ready Player One. But if you're looking for something that's, riveting, compelling, engaging story, rich characters with depth, and a moral message, this isn't it. This totally drops the ball in that regard. And so for myself, not being excited going in, I didn't care by the end. I had fun with the action scenes and the obstacles the characters had to go through, but I didn't really care about the characters themselves. So I wouldn't really watch this again. But if someone were like, hey, let's go see Ready Player One, let's watch it, check it out, and I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll go with you, but if I was just gonna watch it by myself at home or something like that, I wouldn't tune in. I'd rather watch something else. But yeah, so that's my review of Ready Player One. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.